I remember specifically one day I had brought the girls home and the phone rang, and it was after my husband that morning had gone to court again and said, "I'll call you as soon as I'm done," and I didn't receive the phone call that day. And that afternoon when the girls got home from school and Ada County Jail popped up on caller ID, and I didn't get to it in time, my daughter answered it and she said, "Mommy, it's the jail." And so I answered the phone then and heard that Dad was in jail and wasn't going to be released until his next court hearing, and I needed to be able to help him get out of jail this time again. And this wasn't the first journey to jail. It was a series of that through our life. So it was the emotional trauma for those girls and for all the children. We raised 5, and to not know whether Dad was going to be home that night or not, to not know how long he was going to be in jail this time or not. I was left without a car, without any finances in the checking account, and I had a 3-day notice to pay or vacate on the door when I got out.
I was married very young. I was married at age 17. I had my daughter right before I turned 18. And my kids' dad, he was very controlling, very abusive. And I would go to work with bruises on my face and had to cover them up very well. I would lie to my employee that I had been hit with a softball playing around with the kids. And I would go to work and they believed it. So they started calling me Rocky. It was just a horrible, horrible experience. My kids saw the violence. It did affect them. I won't say it won't, that it didn't affect them. It's just been something that still haunts me. You have flashbacks, and it's something that will never ever, it will never be completely out of my mind.
I grew up in domestic violence and verbal, abuse, throughout my life. I was a very, very angry child, and I didn't know how to cope with it and deal with it, so, I just bottled it up. Me and my older brother, actually, we grew up fighting each other. People would place bets. I felt like, like they were making it fun, but like I didn't really want to do it. But my brother always ended up talking me into it because of the money. But we'd sit there and people would circle around us and we'd fight, until one of us were knocked out or, one of us tapped out. We'd fight until we were in a bloody pool. I'm Colton. I live in Canyon County with my girlfriend and her family, and I'm 20, almost 21.
I am Tricia. I am the Operations Director at Advocates Against Family Violence.
I am Virginia Fuentes, board member of Advocates Against Family Violence.
I am Kristen Contreras, and I am the Shelter Director at Hoopsdorf for Advocates Against Family Violence.
I am Kimberly Dugan, Executive Director at Advocates Against Family Violence. AAFV was founded in 2005 after the tragic death of Angela Young right here in Canyon County. And we've been going strong ever since. This last year was our 15-year anniversary of helping and empowering individuals to become absolute survivors. At AAFV, we have, right now we've got 16 programs and classes that we're able to offer to each individual on their own personal journey as a survivor. Everyone's journey is their own, and so by offering a multitude of services and programs, we're able to help each one of them, whether it would be through the case management with a service specialist, or through the courts, or our teen outreach program, the shelter program, our housing program, and then our on-site counselor, who all of it is absolutely free. I started working here 9 years ago after my own journey as a survivor. I didn't really understand that I had been abused. I have my little disclaimer, I was pinned against the wall just the one time, but one time is one time too many. And emotional, spiritual, financial, every other area that you can be abused in was where the abuse was at. And I stayed because I was being a good wife, thought that I was doing it for the children, and what I didn't understand was trying to save them from coming from a broken home. They were already in a broken home. And so once their father went to prison, then that was my ticket, and I knew that I had to make that separation, and I was able to start my own personal journey as a survivor.
I am a board member of Advocates Against Family Violence because I want to make a difference. I was in domestic violence for 18 years. Advocates Against Family Violence means hope, healing, and strength to me. When I see someone that needs help, I'm hoping that they come here and they receive that hope, healing, and that strength to go on. Because I know firsthand that you have no hope, you have no strength. And these people here, the organization, they give you all that. They give you all that so that you can get out of that relationship that hurts so bad. And when I say hurt, it's not just bruises, because the verbal abuse hurts just as much as a bruise.
I come here because I am very passionate about helping and empowering survivors of domestic violence and or sexual assault. I came to Hope Store 13 years ago as a victim myself. I lived there with my 3 children at the time, and lived there for 12 months. After I moved out of the shelter, I was offered a position to work at their thrift store that they had at the time, and then eventually came on as a part-time advocate. And I've worked every shift and every position to where I am now the shelter director. So the women that come to Hope Store are usually women from all different races, social and economics, different person but the same story. Most of the women who come to Hope Store have experienced domestic violence and or sexual assault. Domestic violence usually is generational. It's probably happened in their family through their grandmothers, mothers, and now them. And probably their children are going to experience at some point too. And our goal is to try to help them stop the violence and eliminate that going into the other generations.
About 25 years ago, I left an abusive situation and moved with my children into Nampa Housing Authority and started our life over. I came to work at Advocates Against Family Violence right around that same time as a part-time case manager, and really believed in the mission and believed that I knew I made a change in my life, and I knew that I could help others know that there is a different way, there is a way out, and we have a right to be happy, healthy, loved, respected, and we don't need to live in an abusive situation or have our children involved in domestic violence or family violence. I work at Advocates Against Family Violence to ensure that all survivors have a voice until they are strong enough to share their own voice. But one of the things that would be really amazing for all of our staff is if they each had one job duty and didn't have to wear multiple hats. So our court advocate could really focus on court and make that a really strong program, and then our rural outreach advocates, they could focus on really reaching those victims in the outlying areas instead of working both positions just because of the lack of staff that we have within our programs.
I met actually Kim Dugan's daughter, Caitlin Vassal, in juvie, actually. They came to do the teen outreach program. At first, I took it as a joke, and Caitlin would just constantly questioning me, you know. And one day I just finally snapped. I told her, I'm like, you really want to know everything about me? And just let it go. I got out of juvie, and then for the first month, you know, I started doing really bad, you know, and, you know, I started running the streets again and screwing off, and then, you know, something opened my eyes, and I hit up Caitlin out of the blue. I'm like, hey, I need help. And she's like, come on in. I just showed up. I participated in anger management here and counseling. I completed the whole anger management, and then counseling I was doing like once a week, right? Yeah. Yes, I've changed a lot. Think about things, you know, instead of just saying, screw it, let's go, you know? It's just more, I sit back and I'll think, is this the right thing or is this the wrong thing before I act upon. Teaches you how to do like healthy relationships, you know, just in general, you know, like on a daily basis. Talks about stories on how other people what they went through, and then like it's sort of weird, you know, how it actually relates back to you and it helps you looking at someone else's story.
There's so many reasons that I am passionate about this work. One, you go to the shelter at any day and you look at those women and you look at those children and you know that you're helping them on their road to survivorship and that they're not going to be the same people when they leave our care. Or you had a really bad day and you're at your desk and you think, man, I don't know that I can do this anymore. And you get up, you go next door over to our little daycare where there's 25 babies over there who, little did I know, but that 100% of those who are enrolled over there are first or secondary victims of domestic abuse or sexual assault. And I go over there and they come running at you and you get the hugs and you get the loves and you can come back to your desk and go, you know what? That's why we do what we do, because we make a difference in the lives of individuals. I have a dream that we will be the corridor of care from where we are right now down to 10th Avenue. I can see houses, I can see affordable housing, I can see a brand new shelter, I can see a teen outreach program, I can see a brand new daycare where we don't have a wait list and we can take in those babies and we can continue to love and support them. I have a wish list a mile long, but it will be the entire corridor of care from here all the way down to 10th Avenue. You know, this last year we provided 71,000 victim services through each of our programs, and well, through all of our programs. And I look at that number and I think, how do 30 staff do that all day, every day? But I know how they do it. They don't just have one job, they have 2 or 3 jobs. A shelter director isn't just a shelter director, she's a case manager, she's an overnight shelter manager, she's an overnight shelter advocate. You have a program director who, she's not just a program director, she's helping run the daycare, she's helping buy the groceries for the daycare. We're painting offices, we're cleaning offices, we're cleaning rooms at the shelter when the individuals are moving out and we have got to go in and clean up the room. And so we're janitors, and we're not just a teen advocate, but we're also a counselor while we're out there. We're those teens' best friend. We're the ones that they call and say, hey, I got a problem. Can you help me? And we say, absolutely. And we drop it right where we're at, and we're there for each one of these individuals. And so I know that if we could have another 7, 8 staff members to help take some of the burden off of what we already have, we could reach even more than what we're already reaching. We can't get out into the rural communities where these individuals are so isolated that they can't get away to get the help that they need. They don't even know how to get here sometimes to get the help that they need. And if we can have two outreach advocates out in Middleton, Murphy, where we go to Owyhee County, we've got a big county, and Owyhee County is a big county, and we're the only programs that are servicing out in those rural areas, and the need is so significant, and it's an epidemic right now. 1 in 3 of what's reported are victimized by domestic abuse and sexual assault. And we have another 30,000 people that have come into Canyon County over the course of the last year. 1 in 3 of them, that's another 10,000 for us to absorb and we provide those services for. So the need is significant, and if I had all the money in the world like I want, and I already have everything down to the corridor of care, we would have our new shelter, we would have our new daycare, it would already be there. But my hope is one day, honestly, my biggest hope is that one day I can walk up to the shelter and I can put a lock on that shelter door and say, you know what? We did it. We did our mission. We eliminated the violence, and Canyon County is violence free. And that's my dream.
Thank you so very much for supporting Advocates Against Family Violence, for giving others a brighter future too.